So this is a paper analysis of UGC NET December 2019 paper of the economics paper. So I have divided the questions into numerous categories such as numericals, chronological order, contribution made by various authors, public finance, banking terms, general knowledge, and various categories. So we will discuss the questions under each of these categories, and we will also discuss the overall difficulty level and the category wise difficulty level. So let's start with numericals. There were various numericals asked on topics such as terms of trade, income multiplier, convergent and divergent series, which is a part of statistics. Then there was Cobb-Douglas production function. I think there were two questions asked from this Cobb-Douglas production function. Then there was also the inverse of matrix and cost function. So matrix can also be asked, and inverse of matrix can also be asked to be calculated. So numericals were easy to moderate. They were not very difficult. If your concepts are clear, if you have basic knowledge about all of the economic subjects, then you can easily attempt these. Next is chronological order. There were many questions of this sort. There were theories of investment, theories of consumer behavior, like which theory came before which theory came after which theory, and input output analysis, contribution of econometricians made in the field of econometrics, and theories of international trade, like which theory came first. Was it the absolute theory? Was it David Ricardo's, Adam Smith's? Which one? So like that, chronological order questions, there were a lot of those. And next is your contribution made by the different authors, or the author name was given and you have to identify which of the following contribution, which of the following theories or book has been given by the author. So there were various authors such as Slutsky, Leontief, Arrow, and there were also many theories given in which you have to identify. You had to basically match which author gave which theory. So there was ISLM, there is a multiplier accelerator, optimum population transaction costs. So you have to remember who gave which theory. Next is your theories of economics, such as very popular theories: Friedman's quantitative theory of money, then balanced growth, Harrod-Domar's theory, Caldo's theory, Pareto, Skitowski, Phillips curve, Heckscher-Ohlin. All these are very basic theories which we learn when we just start studying economics. These are very basic macro, micro, and development economics theories. So these were also easy to moderate. They were not very difficult. Also, there were theory terms such as Peacock-Wiseman displacement effect. So what is displacement effect? You can be asked various terms from theories such as knife edge problem or bootstrapping technique. So you have to remember these terms when you are going through theories. You have to remember the meaning of these terms. So this was I think again moderate level difficulty. Then next was public finance and banking. There were a lot of questions asked from this particular section. Various deficit types, primary deficit, revenue deficit, all of these. So you had to match the definition with the terms. Then there were some questions asked from RBI also, the sources of income of RBI, or when RBI increases the repo rate, what happens when it decreases the repo rate, what happens? So the effect of RBI's policy changes was there. Then there were various types of tariffs, such as effective tariff, compound tariff, revenue tariff. So you have to know which tariff stands for what. Then there was a tax burden question and functions of SEBI. Then there were also a question on the functions of RBI, WTO, IMF. That was again a match the following question. Then what is the insolvency and bankruptcy code? What is hedging and forward exchange, arbitrage? So all these questions were under public finance and banking only. Some of these are also from international trade, but again international actually finance only. Then there were also measures of money was asked. I think there was a question on M4 and also a question on M1, measure of money. And then some questions of incidence of tax and elasticity of tax burden. And then the next question, the next section is assertion and reason. There were two statements. One was termed as assertion and one was termed as reason. So you have to identify which is true. Assertion is true, or reason is true, or both are true. So you have to identify that. Then also there were questions where two statements were given, and you had to identify which statement was true. Either one of them were true, either both were false, either both were true. So those questions were basically based on IPR or TPR. IPR is intelligence property rights, intellectual property rights, and TPR is trade policy review. Then there were questions on Coase theorem also. So these were all assertion, reason, and two statement type questions. Then there were some questions from general knowledge about world trade, also about Indian industries such as NSSO, NAIS, that is your agriculture based question. Then about India's textile industry, about Basel III norms, and green and blue box subsidies of WTO. So these were GK questions. Then there were other questions from microeconomics and development economics, such as market failure, adverse selection, positive externality, negative externality, and development economics questions such as demographic dividend and demographic transition. These questions were quite easy. You just have to have a basic understanding of these terms. They are quite easy to understand. And then in the last there were 10 questions based on a comprehension passage. So a passage was given, and you had to on the basis of that passage, on the basis of your understanding of that passage, you had to answer 10 questions, I think, and they were very easy to attempt. So basically most questions were from public finance and banking sector, and chronological order, and contribution made by various authors. So this time the focus was on chronological order and contribution made by authors, which was a little unexpected because students generally put less focus on these two categories. All the other categories were expected. So the overall difficulty level of the paper was moderate, I would say. It wasn't difficult, but it wasn't very easy also. Some categories were easy, some were moderate to difficult.